Well, when I worked on Apocalypse Now, it was a long, long time, and I did live in Manila, and I lived in all sorts of really crude habitations where there was no electricity, where there was no hot water. I remember I used to take showers just by taking a bucket of ice cold water, and I got used to being able to do that. Actually, it's very invigorating. But near the second half, I heard about a place called Hidden Valley. This was speaking of the Philippines, Hidden Valley. And it turned out it was like a little oasis almost of, some hot pools. There were different hot pools that bubbled up. Some were hot, some were less so. And little cabanas. And I remember I took two of them and sort of joined the wall together so that I had one more luxurious one. I even had a special cooking apparatus made, and I lived in this hidden valley, and I went to work in a helicopter, and it was a very bizarre, idyllic kind of a life. And you know, as usually happens when you spend a long time making a movie, you get used to the place where you're working. I say that David Lean, after he made Lawrence of Arabia, couldn't bear to leave the desert. And I found that I was pretty habituated to this hidden valley. I had my place, and once, and going to work in a helicopter, it was a very exotic. At one point, my wife said to me, "Francis, it takes 9 hours to get here. You'll never come here again." And you're figuring out how to get water on this island. And, you know, also you bought a winery before you left for Apocalypse Now. They're asking what they should do with this winery, you know, which you really don't know how to run. I would suggest you not buy this island. And so she of course was right. And I went home and began to work on the winery and enjoyed it very much. And then at one point there was a newspaper article that the British Honduras announced that it was becoming Belize, a nation, whatever it was, maybe 1990 or 1981. So I saw this article about British Honduras. I had never heard of British Honduras, and I went with my eldest son to look for, I guess what I was really intending to was to find an island like that island in the Philippines that was so beautiful. We went to Belize City, and I was very tired. I went to sleep, and my son was wandering around the city, and at around 3 in the morning, my son came and, Dad, come on, get up, come with me. And I said, what is it? He says, well, I found a draft beer and fresh lobster. So I went with him, and again, the mood in Belize City was totally benevolent, and there was this shack that said on it, Chef Ramon. And it looked like a shack the size of a telephone booth. And there was a guy in there, kind of a Rastafarian guy, who was Chef Ramon, who was cooking lobster at 3 in the morning and serving this wonderful draft Belican beer that they have here. And I got to talk to him, and at 3 in the morning, eating lobster, drinking beer, and I was describing why I had come, and we were looking. He says, well, you won't find an island the way you're describing. He says, but there is, up in the mountains, there is the place, in fact, known as Hidden Valley. And it's very beautiful. It's a forestry preserve, and it's very beautiful. Maybe you would like that. Here was this absolutely enchanted forest. I mean, it's a very interesting situation because you go through a jungle, like what they call a broadleaf jungle, where there's jungle plants like the Philippines. And then above it, you come to a pine forest. Well, how did that happen? Ultimately, this excursion up amid these pretty waters, bubbling, I can't call it a river, but a small river, I guess you would say. We finally came to an abandoned airstrip that had the wreckage of an airplane on it. And a little distance away from this airstrip, as part of this property, was an abandoned lodge that Ray explained was called the Blancaneaux Lodge because it was on the Blancano line. It was called the Blancaneaux Lodge because of its location on the map, and it was apparently the only lodge and the first lodge in Belize, but it was closed. And I walked around, peeked in, and I peeked into, in fact, what it was that window right there. And I looked in, and I saw all these wooden tables. Well, it was locked. I couldn't get in it, but it looked like a dining room, but very plain wooden tables. And I said, "Oh, I could write here." But when I left, my two boys wanted to stay, and they each took one of these very rustic, motley cabines or whatever, cottages that had been part of the lodge, and they got Mohawk haircuts. I had these two boys, one in each of the cabins, who used to at night talk to each other on the intercoms, which had just, this is the early days of Japanese intercoms and things like that. There was no electricity, and that was probably trip one of any number of trips that we had here. I now had so much stuff that cost money, like the washer dryer and the espresso machine. So I had to have a couple that I arranged to live in the place to watch everything so that it would not all disappear. And it was because they were here and Caracol was so close that we were the closest habitation to these new digs. So we started to get requests of people wanting to stay there. And it never occurred to me that it would be a hotel or a lodge. I was not in that business. I didn't know how to do that kind of business. My wife is very interested in textiles and stuff like that. So he took us on some very interesting trips, and we met people and got access to resources to not only buy Guatemalan colonial furniture, but also beautiful antique fabrics and artworks and stuff. So we bought all of this extraordinary cabinets and tables and things, and we put them all around the Blancano Lodge, and we fixed it up. And Eleanor was very helpful because she's very good with fabrics and the bedspreads were beautiful, Guatemalan bedspreads, and we bought all this stuff, and we really did it up so that Blancaneaux Lodge was extremely attractive and cozy and full of beautiful art and what have you. There was a period there where I wasn't making very many movies, and I realized I was making these lodges. They were like movies.
Welcome to Belize and Blancano Lodge. I am Bernie Matute, the General Manager of Francis Ford Coppola First Hideaway. The Coppola have 4 other hideaways in their personal collection, and they enjoy time at each unique location. Speaking of location, we are here on the dramatic Pine Ridge Reserve along the waterfront of the Privación Creek. You will get a taste of the many adventures we offer, the varied authentic dining, and a recipe inspired by our on-site farm. All, of course, will be paired with the delicious wine and spirits. You will also see vibrant Guatemalan decor throughout the lodge, each textile handpicked by Miss Eleanor Coppola herself. Follow me. We're here at the garden spot with Chef Isadora, and Chef Isadora is preparing a beautiful dish for us. Can you tell us what you're preparing for us today, Chef Isadora?
Hello, good day. Today I'll be preparing gazpacho. Gazpacho is a chilled soup. It's a Spanish soup which is made with fresh tomatoes with some raw chopped up vegetables. And over here we have freshly hand-picked vegetables from our farm. And we have the fresh tomatoes, so we'll be doing the gazpacho.
Okay, so you just
Yeah,
harvested
freshly
these.
picked.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. So while Chef Isadora gets to work, I will be explaining a little bit more about the garden. The garden was started in the 90s, and it started off a very small, like a quarter acre only. But eventually through the years and the needs that arose from the hotel, we eventually now expanded to a 3.5 acre garden. We produce about 75% of all the vegetables that we harvest, and this is for all our outlets, including our stocking area. We grow radishes, cucumber, string beans, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, about 5 different types of lettuces, and 6 different types of herbs. So we have a team of about 6 staff members that man this beautiful garden, as you can see behind me. And also we do some beautiful fruits as well, local fruits for us to harvest and provide to our clients. So Chef Isadora, how long have you been working for the hotel?
Well, I've been here 3 years now
Okay.
at Blancaneaux, and I still have more years to go.
You want to catch up with me, huh?
Yeah, right.
Great.
And well, I love it here. Blancaneaux is a nice, beautiful place, which every staff feels home. Well, I feel like it's my second home here.
Oh, that's beautiful. One of the other experiences, as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the recent experiences that we add to our food and beverage outlet at the lodge. Is dining within the garden area. And the experience starts off by the guests first arriving, being welcomed by a mojito, and even at some point from any fresh herb that the bartender had just gathered. And so that will be freshly made for them, and then they're welcome. The gardeners also tour the guests throughout the garden area so that they can also experience and see how the vegetables are grown. And you might even also get the experience of extracting your own cane juice, which is to also make your mojito. And another part of that is that we also do portion of the panela, which is the cane juice, which is cooked for at least 3 to 4 hours and then being brought to a syrup, and then it coagulated so that it can also be used as a sweetener in your restaurant. We even offer live music while we're also participating, dining and enjoying the vegetables, which is a 3-course meal and also all vegetarian, and it is all taken as a family style. So tell us a little bit more where you are just now and some of the ingredients you're using, Isadora.
Well, here for the gazpacho, I'll be using the onions. I have chopped up, diced onions, some freshly tomatoes, bell peppers, cucumbers, and I'll be having zucchini and garlic for the gazpacho with some fresh basil, all from our farm.
All right. And the colors are so beautiful as well too. So it's a
Yeah.
great combination, a great contrast for a summer soup. So
This soup is served mainly for like a hot day, so it's served cold, a cold soup.
So then maybe it will also go wonderful with our Sauvignon Blanc or any red wine as you, a Pinot Noir or a Zinfandel too, right?
Yeah.
Cheers
Cheers.
for a beautiful dish.
Yeah.
This will definitely go well with the gazpacho. You taste that flavor of pink grapefruit and citrus, so it'll definitely be a
Just
killer
perfectly.
already. Can't wait to taste it.
Then we're gonna add like a tablespoon of red wine vinegar, some salt and pepper for taste.
I'm sure you've made this so many times, Isadora. It looks so great.
Yeah, this is one of our gazpacho that we serve from the Montana restaurant, which a lot of our guests really love this soup.
I'm sure
Well,
they
as
do.
for me also. Then we have our soup here. Garnish with basil, fresh basil, some olive oil, and of course, I have here toasted baguette, just
Okay.
with some olive
Oh,
oil
beautiful. Oh,
and
nice.
some oregano.
Oh, great.
Here we go.
Thank you, Isadora. This
You're
looks
welcome.
delicious.
Enjoy. Bon
I am
appetit.
sure I'm going to enjoy it. Really is delicious. As fresh as possibly could be.
So,
Cheers, Isadora, and thank you so much for
cheers.
this beautiful
You're
dish,
welcome.
okay?
I'm so glad
Okay.
you liked it.
Thank you.
So Bernie, here we are in the beautiful lobby of Blancano Lodge. You've been the general manager here for how many years now?
26 years now.
26. That's a long history. Not quite as long as the Coppola's history. Tell me a little bit about Francis's and his family's history here.
The Coppola family acquired the property in 1981, and it was a private getaway for him and his family throughout the entire time. And it opened its door to the public or as a resort in 1993.
And I know since 1993 it has evolved, and certainly during your tenure here running the entire lodge, you've changed things, you've added things, you've worked with Francis because it's always about his vision and his creation.
That's correct.
Tell me a little bit about some of the amenities or special experiences that guests really love when they check in here at Blancano.
One of the positive things about the lodge is its location, and of course a few of the activities that the clients enjoy here is we have an on-site stable, we have 21 horses, and we offer Western style riding, and we can do from a couple of hours horseback riding to a full day, visiting the broadleaf forests, the pine forests, and even visiting waterfalls, hidden waterfalls, and so on.
And as I recall, I think I've gotten to do it once when I first started working with you. There's waterfalls quite close by here. What are the name of those falls? Tell me a little about them.
It's a Big Rock Falls, and you can also do Big Rock Falls by hiking, which is a 45-minute walk one way. And the beauty about there is that you can dip into the water and take a swim, and then you head on back again just in time for lunch, or you can go after lunch. And you can also bike there as well, or even by horseback riding.
I recall them being very dramatic and a big surprise at the end of a hike or a horseback ride.
Correct.
So we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Mayan culture, the Mayan history here. I know there's several Mayan experiences you can have nearby the lodge, but the most famous and the most popular is which one would you say?
As I mentioned, location, we're only an hour and a half away from Caracol, which is the largest Mayan site in Belize. We have wonderful guides who could submerge you into the Mayan culture, can pretty much bring back the forest into life again. And also there is Barton Creek Caves, which you can also canoe through a cavern of about 75 feet high with a guide as well too, and that will take you about a half a day experience.
Okay. So you want to get deep in that Mayan history, that Mayan culture when you're a guest at Blancano Lodge.
Absolutely.
One of the things I love about being here and going on any tour excursion is your team. So much like the Coppola cast that we have at Turtle Inn, you have your own cast of characters here. Many have been here 10 plus years, as I recall.
Yes, that's correct. And many of them come to stay for a long period of time. So, and we make a great team, wait staff, bar staff, housekeepers. So, yes, indeed.
I have to talk a little bit about the dwellings, if you'll indulge me. Francis doesn't like to call them guest rooms, right? From the beginning, he's called these beautiful thatched roof accommodations, whether they're the one-bedroom cabanas on the river or the two-bedroom villas throughout the property. We call them dwellings because when you come here, you want to dwell, you want to be one with nature. Birding, right? That's something that's a favorite activity of our guests as they come here. You have birding guides, as I recall.
Yes, we offer birding tours in the mornings for all our guests as an amenity, and so we start off at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then you're for an hour, and then you're back to the lodge again.
And it's funny, I wouldn't have thought about birding as an exciting experience on a holiday, but you really do get excited about it because of the enthusiasm of your tour guides and how much studying they do, how passionate they are about things like birding or Mayan history or whatever their specialty is. They really put a lot of time in. The dwellings, any favorites of any of the guests, the ones that are in the most demand, that are everybody like, please, I have to have this dwelling, I'm a repeat guest, this is my special room. Any favorites that you've heard?
The luxury cabanas are one of our favorites, guest favorites, and also the FFC Villa and the Enchanted Cottage. These are the most sought for units that we have on site. They also carry their own room attendants and they have their own private plunge pool, so it's really very secluded, so you have all the privacy you can basically require.
Yeah, it's special to be here and be able to be on the river in one of the cabanas, or treat yourself to something more deluxe and have the luxury cabana with the beautiful private plunge pools. My favorite is the Enchanted Cottage. As you mentioned, the fact that it's one bedroom stone house, completely different than the thatched roof dwellings we have over these 72 acres of an expansive property. I like it because of the fireplace, the romantic feel, the private pool. And one of the things Francis has said to me, as someone who's responsible for marketing all the Hideaways, what he thinks Blancaneaux should be known for, besides everything around us, the Mayan history, is romance. To him, it's the most romantic of all of his properties, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's good to be back with you here.
It's lovely to have you as well too, Christine.
I'll meet you in the Jaguar Bar for a cocktail, certainly?
Looking
Okay,
forward to it.
deal. So here we are, we meet again, but now in the Jaguar Bar.
That's correct, Christine. Hi, Ernesto. Can we have two bees knees, please?
Sure, definitely.
Ooh, bees knees. I'm looking forward to trying that
Yeah,
cocktail.
absolutely.
So the Jaguar Bar, when do our guests hang out here in this spot?
Well, it's very popular for a pre-dinner drink and after-dinner drink, and also when we have those weary clients arriving from a long day's tour. This is the first spot they will visit to, just ease off for the rest of the evening.
That's the same thing I would do. Get off that road, arrive, have some Jaguar juice, which I know is our welcome drink. You can have it right here in the Jaguar Bar.
Absolutely.
Speaking of dinner, we have quite a variety of options here.
Yes, that's right, Christine. We have the Restaurante Montagna, which was our first restaurant, and these offer pizzas and pastas, and these are all Francis's recipes from his family members that have been handed down. And of course, we have the Guatemalteco, which features food from the highlands of Guatemala, which we'll be meeting Diego in a bit, joining him for dinner later on tonight.
I know Diego's really passionate about the Guatemalan
That's
food.
so
I look
true.
forward to him telling us more about it. So as long as we're listening to Ernesto do a little magic behind the Jaguar Bar here, I'll talk a little bit about this because a lot of people know our boss is a winemaker and a filmmaker. Not that many people know because this is one of the newer endeavors that he's also a spirits maker, right?
Right.
And we have 5, I think, now, but this was one of the original spirits he made. The name of the group of spirits is Great Women's Spirits. I love that he honors women with each of these special liquors. This one happens to be the gin, named after Ada Lovelace. Not too many people know that the first computer programmer was a woman.
Oh, wow.
And she was born in 1815 in London. Gin is a classic cocktail out of London. My understanding from the experts in our organization that distill this and make this and craft this beautiful cocktail, this beautiful bottle, this beautiful gin, I should say,
Right.
is that it's a code of 10 botanicals, including juniper, Meyer lemon, rose. Those are the 3 that I remember because I can only remember 3 things.
Absolutely.
Ooh, yeah. And I know the bee's knees has honey in it, is that correct?
That's correct, and it's not any honey, it's our farm-grown honey. A few years ago, we started our bee farm. We harvest honey twice a year, and it's not only used in this application, but you can also use it in your tea in the morning or your coffee if you so desire, or even if you'd be doing a spa treatment, we can also use it there too.
Yes. Honey used all around the property.
Absolutely. So,
You have to show me the bees later today, perhaps.
of course. Cheers.
Bernie. Good to be with you in the Jaguar Bar.
Bienvenidos al restaurante guatemalteco. My name is Diego and I will be your server for dinner tonight. Here at the Guatemalteco restaurant, we feature authentic Guatemalan cuisines coming from the highlands and lowlands of Guatemala. Of course, personally selected by Mr. Francis Ford Coppola. For dinner tonight, we are doing two appetizer choices. We have a Dobladas De Chorizo, which is a handmade corn tortilla filled with local sausage, homemade local sausage, diced tomatoes, onion, cilantro, fresh cream, and avocado, topped with a light salsa roja, which is a red tomato sauce, and some dried cheese. Second option would be the enchiladas, which is a crispy corn tortilla, topped with marinated organic vegetables, ground meat, a light tomato sauce, dried cheese, and a slice of hard-boiled egg. Absolutely delicious enchiladas for dinner tonight. Also, we have two main courses choices. Pepian, which is actually a homemade traditional soup prepared with roasted ingredients, tomatillos, garlic, onion, corn tortillas, chile guac and chile pas, and of course some chicken and some vegetables. And that actually particular dish comes from Antigua, which is a very, Francis chooses dishes from different regions in Guatemala. So this particular dish comes from Antigua. It's one of my favorites. And of course, we have also a grilled beef tenderloin. It's a 7-ounce beef tenderloin steak with a very unique chiltepe sauce. Chiltepe actually is from Petén, known as some small peppers. And what the chef makes a wonderful sauce, chiltepe prepared with roasted tomato, garlic and onion, and some fresh cream. Of course, combining very well, all of these dishes goes very well with a nice bottle of Cabernet, Diamond Series Cabernet Sauvignon. With the texture, the body of the wine matches perfectly well with any of the dishes you decide to have tonight, okay? Okay, so salud, cheers, bon appetito.
You know what? Why do you do any art, or why do you do this? It's the need to share a little bit of who you are, who you were, and let people see a little bit how you see it, knowing that it's just going to be an impression to them, but in a way that impression will be further complicated by their personality, and so this gift that goes actually from generation to generation is your immortality, because whether it's your art that some kid saw and decided he or she wanted to be a filmmaker and made a film to sort of copy yours, which they can't really do, so it comes out their way, which is probably even better than yours, and we are all part of this continuing expression that's passed down over time, whether it's your glimpse of a jungle and how you saw it, or your first swim in a mountain stream, or your first view of a jaguar face to face. I mean, all these things that you experience get passed on to someone else, and more or less they have those experiences, and makes you part of the bigger picture.